Hey folks, just thought I'd give you an update of the shrimp tank. I've got some stuff going on here. It's a little bit different. So I'm going to be moving the camera around. That light will glare up like that at times, and I'll try to work it out for you. I've removed that big apparatus that I created with that skimmer filter, and I've gone to sponge filters, and I think it's really what I should have done in the first place for shrimp. It's what everybody in the hobby does, and this works real simple. There's a air line coming down to that, and it pumps air through the system, and that draws water through those sponges and does biological and mechanical filtration. It's only been in there a little while, but the shrimp are already working, and I can't believe there's that much on it to work yet, but I guess it's pulling all those particles in the water over there. I just did some planting too. I put some dwarf hair grass in here and some other aquatic grass back there. I'm still waiting on my Java moss. I sent the dude that I bought it from an email last night. If I don't hear back from him soon, he's going to get reverse charges going on. I don't know where all the cherry shrimp are. They kind of come and go. They just disappear. There's one right there hanging out, working that little piece of rock and the cholla wood. They get in there a lot, but there's a lot more shrimp in here than you see right now, even though you see like there's one of the grass shrimp cruising by there. They just kind of disappear. I think it's actually really a good thing. They have so many places. If you look, I mean, it looks almost like a landscape in there when you come in close with the camera. They've got so many places to hide and so many places to go that whenever they don't feel like being out, they just kind of disappear. I counted a total of 8 this morning when I first turned the light on and everybody was out. So I know that at the most I could have lost of the 10 that I originally put in here would have been 2 of the cherries. I got another tank I'm going to be setting up soon down there, and that's going to be set up with blue shrimp. Some people ask, like, what's the end game with this? If the grass shrimp will breed for me, and that's questionable, but if the grass shrimp will breed for me, the end game is breeding millions of them, or thousands and thousands of them, in my outdoor tanks during the warmer parts of the year, and using them as feed for all of the bluegills and sunfish and things like that in my aquatic systems. But, you know, will that work? I don't know. The reality is I like aquariums. I'm kind of an aquarium geek. I always have been. I've got some really cool stuff, and I'm building out more of it. Here's something unique that you don't see a lot of, so I get to focus for you. Those are actually snails' eggs right there. Those are those phallic snails, the little snails that are in there. That's their eggs. And what I found that's really cool is that when they're sitting there like that, the shrimp don't really do anything to them, but if you reach in and scrape them off and they sink to the bottom, the shrimp seem like they eat them. So every once in a while I knock them down. I'm not too worried about snails in this tank. Snails are great in a shrimp tank from everything I've heard. And if I get too many, I'll just pick them out, and I'll show you what I'll take them. My big, beautiful 55-gallon angelfish tank. You might wonder why I put snails in here. Well, there's snails in here, but there's very few. If I look, I might be able to find you. There's 2 right there. There is an eel in this tank, a peacock eel. And I was starting to have a population of these snails pick up, and I put him in there. He doesn't ever eat bloodworms or anything when I feed bloodworms. He doesn't come out during the day much, so he's probably hiding right now. There's my big old Placo. But last time I did an aquarium gravel vacuum, it looked like a lottery with little balls flying around in there of empty snail shells. So the only thing that's changed is the addition of that eel. And what's up, guys? Those are my buddies there. I love my angelfish. Since I put that eel in, and the snail population has really been knocked down, so that's a good thing. I don't have to worry about an overpopulation of snails in this tank, and as long as there's some snails in this tank, I don't really have to worry about feeding him. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't have any other explanation for the snail population being knocked down and a bunch of empty snail shells. Loaches tend to eat snails. Lots of different loaches will. And the peacock eel really is more of a loach than an eel. He's actually a fish that's eel-like in shape. He's got that long nose, and he's always working the gravel. And I've even thrown, like, since he's been in here, I'll go throw like 4 or 5 of the biggest snails I can find in here, and the next day they're just gone. So I assume he's eating them. A little piece of cholla wood back there. That was that floating one. It finally sank, and I don't think that tank, like, they want to eat, look. I don't really think that tank really needs that fourth piece of wood, so I'm going to save it for my my next tank, the blue shrimp tank. And I'm just leaving it in there so it gets nice and you know, colonized with bacteria and all, help cycle that tank. Anyway, guys, so one day we'll go over the cichlids. They're down there. I've got electric yellows. There's a bunch of different cichlids, and there's some pretty cool ones. But the electric yellows, as you can see, are breeding with no special treatment whatsoever. Now, I'm going to get to a point I'm going to have to start thinning population, because if you get down underneath those boulders, there's little sets of eyes of itty-bitty babies just looking out at you everywhere. Anyway, guys, this has nothing to do with survival or nothing to do with my podcast, really, other than, you know, aquaponic stuff. Some of the stuff is interoperable. But just one of the things that I like to play around with in my spare time. Figured I'd share it with you. If you have any questions about this stuff, let me know. And if you like this stuff, you might like the other stuff I do. You can find out more about me at tspc.co.